Good. There we go. So it's over to you. Thank you so much for doing this again. Thank you to everyone for coming along to join our next winter webinar. And over to you, Elise. Thank you very
No
much.
problem. Thanks, Laura. So thank you everyone for joining. Today we're going to be talking about head down Bigway. I think there's a few people in the audience who have a bit of experience of it. So an outline for this presentation today. It's just giving an overview on what is Freefly Bigway, different slots and kind of a basic formation of a Freefly Bigway. A quick overview of Project 19 and kind of a slide on how you can get involved with Head Down Bigway. So presented this, a few of you may have watched a presentation from the AGM. So just a bit of a background about who I am, or don't you know who I think I am? So I'm Elise. I've got about 2,500 jumps or 2,700 jumps, over 100 hours tunnel, AFF instructor, FF and TR coach. My background in Bigway, so I was part of the women's vertical world records in 2016, 2017, and 2022. So that was head up and head down women's records there. I was also a participant in the 200-way attempt record in 2022. Bit of a spoiler alert, that actually wasn't successful, but we'll go into kind of that in a bit more detail later on. Also competed in FS AAA, Freefly A, Freestyle A, and VFS, and also love the tunnel as well. Have won two-way dynamic with Martin, who's also in the room, for the last 2 years. Done a bit of load organising as well. And Andrew Eady, I don't know if he's on the call as well. I think it might be Andy. If you can actually look at him, he's dressed up as a Joker right now in the meeting room. I assume that's Andy. But he got very upset that I didn't say that he was my teammate at the AGM, so I put it onto this slide as well. Andy, you're looking very creepy there. So what is Freefly skydiving? So this is just kind of a summation of the different things that you can do with kind of Freefly skydiving. So once you've got your A license, we all love to chase stickers in the sport. You can go and get kind of your Freefly 1 and your tracking 1 once you've got your A license, but I'd highly recommend that you get your FS1 before this, as it gives you kind of the good fundamentals in skydiving and enhances kind of your body awareness into this. So back in the day, before they introduced the kind of the tracking stickers, it was very much kind of just getting your Freefly 1 head up and Freefly 2 head down, and effectively that also meant that you could track as well. So I kind of see both of those, or all of this, so Freefly 1, Freefly 2, and your tracking stickers, so TR1, TR2, and TR3, as part of kind of Freefly skydiving. And I personally think they should kind of go hand in hand together, especially when you go into kind of your TR3. I personally think you need your kind of FF2, as TR3 is effectively tracking belly to back through that kind of vertical orientation. And obviously, if you are head down, you kind of need your FF2 there as well. So that's all well and good. We love to chase stickers in the UK, but what does that actually mean? So fun jumps, camps and boogies. So the UK skydiving scene, we're very fortunate that we've got a lot of great camps. So you can go and do kind of a vertex camp or other camps as well. But most of the time they require you to have Freefly 1 and TR1 minimum in order to kind of do these camps. Abroad camps, this is more based on kind of the number of jumps within that discipline. So a lot of countries do not actually have the same sticker system that we have. So it's very important that you understand kind of your skill levels when you are going on those camps abroad. Competitions, so British Skydiving do a great UK nationals. So we've got kind of two disciplines, I would say, within the kind of the free fly world. So you've got your artistic, so that's kind of your free fly and freestyle B. So as soon as you've got your kind of free fly 1, it's a great discipline to get involved with, and it really enhances your skills. So I'd highly recommend that, once you've got your kind of head up, kind of sorted in the sky, you get kind of with someone else at the same level of you, and you train for that as well. And then you've got your free fly and freestyle A, which is you require kind of your FF2 within that. So very similar, you kind of have a team of 3 people or 2 people, and that's kind of in your head down orientation. Then you've got your formation skydiving. So you've got your vertical formation skydiving, which is two-way. So that requires your kind of FF2, which is team of 3, including camera, or FS 4-way, Freefly 2 again, which is a team of 5, including camera. So this is all well and good, but what does it actually mean? Kind of how do we get into kind of Freefly Bigway? So Freefly Bigway is a 1-point skydive in a pre-declared orientation. So you know we can one in a pre-declared orientation. So in vertical kind of free fly skydiving, it's either kind of a head up or a head down Bigway. Within Bigway, they usually say that you need a minimum kind of a Freefly 2 and also TR3. I wouldn't say that, you know, as soon as you've got your stickers, you go straight into Bigway, because there's a lot of kind of skills and additional skills that you need in order to do this. So this is why I say, you know, once you've got these stickers, go and enjoy the kind of camps and boogies and get involved with those competitions, because that sets a great foundation for your entry into Freefly Bigway. So a bit of a history of Bigway records then. So this is kind of a timeline of FS records versus kind of your vertical records. So as you can see, kind of FS records, they started in kind of 1973 with a 12-way. I'm sure back in the day, they probably pulled at like 1,000 foot. So, you know, they probably had a lot of time in order to make kind of those records successful. But actually, it took a lot of time, so 30 years later, until we actually did kind of the first vertical records. That was in 2003 with 24-way there. So as you can see from the timeline here, so FS, it kind of grew substantially with the records. And actually, in 2006, they set a 400-way, which is, you know, a fantastic achievement. However, in kind of the vertical world, what you'll see here is that, you know, we are starting to get bigger, but we're kind of getting stuck at around kind of 164. And 2022 was the second attempt of that 200-way. So, you know, it is there's a lot of difference in here, but you know, head down is a relatively new discipline in terms of records, and actually we've still got quite a lot to learn in terms of pushing it to that 200-way. So the basics of a vertical formation, so pretty much all head down formations follow kind of the same pattern as kind of a belly formation. So what we have is this core center, which is what we call the base. And then basically everybody is kind of stinging onto this base and building off that base. So every single kind of head down or even head up orientation sets that base, and then we build on it. So this schematic here is actually a diagram of the 200 vertical world record. So as you can see, we've still got that yellow kind of base there, and then the green are building onto that yellow base. And then what we have in the outside is kind of a number of pods. And this is how we're kind of building the vertical formation here. So different slots in a basic formation. So base, kind of as it says, is either launched or you kind of break into the base. It depends how big that base is. But typically kind of with a 4-way, 6-way, you usually launch it depending on the aircraft that you're in. Or, you know, if it gets any bigger than this, sometimes we have individuals breaking into that base. So the first stingers, so these are the first individuals kind of onto the base, and they're taking a grip on the base. So you're either kind of a right-hand stinger or a left-hand first stinger, and then we build it out from there. So then we've got the second stingers, which are taking a grip on the first stingers with a right or a left hand. And then finally, you've got kind of the pod closers, as you can see on either end here. So they're closing the pod and taking the grip on both of those second stingers. So as the formation kind of gets bigger and bigger, we set that foundation with those kind of pods. But as it kind of gets further or more people into that formation, what we have then are bridges. So it's basically kind of bridging between those pods, or you might kind of have stingers on the pods just to make it that bit bigger. So again, another diagram, so slightly bigger. So we've got an 8-way base here, building those kind of core fundamentals here. Then we've got the first stingers, second stingers, and kind of pod closers. So I just wanted to share with you, you know, we always have that kind of core foundation throughout kind of head down Bigway. And this is what it kind of looks like. So we've got some videos, but I'm not sure if they're going to play too well. But I just wanted to give a couple of examples on the 200-way vertical world record in 2022. and just give examples of each of those kind of different slots within the formation. So we have the base. Tell me if the video isn't particularly good. But as you can see here, there is a lot of movement going on in the base. So what you usually, or the individuals that you usually want in the base are probably your strongest flyers, but they also had to be kind of big, kind of, I would say, muscly people as well, because you can see the amount of movement within that formation there. So you really need kind of really strong individuals within this, within the base, especially as it gets to kind of the 200 way. So first and second stingers here. So if you look behind Pippine, who's in kind of the red and blue here, you'll see kind of the first stingers stinging onto that base. So they're the first people coming on, you know, nicely in kind of unison there. Then we have the second stingers behind that. Again, those individuals within those pink t-shirts. And then finally, the pod closer at the back. As you can see here, we're going to kind of the diagram of what it should look like, but every individual is kind of looking over the base to their cross partners. So actually, with a vertical kind of formation, what you'll find is that actually it kind of gets lower and lower like an umbrella shape, whereas in kind of an FS formation, what it does is kind of that U shape there. So exit slots, in a single plane formation, you kind of have a few different slots. So in the base, so you might be exiting as part of the base. We then have floating or super float or diving. So unlike in kind of FS Bigway, what we have is that half of kind of the formation leaves before the base. So those individuals are called floaters. And then the other half of the formation leaves after the base. And those individuals are called divers. So a bit of a background on kind of what floating is. So it's when you leave the plane before the base, you're then required to kind of float up to the formation to make sure that you get ready onto the on level with the base at the kind of correct speed. Some individuals say, oh, is it kind of like a tracking dive? I would say it's more kind of a relaxed tracking dive up to kind of the base as well. But what's very important to note is that once the base kind of leads the plane, it's going to be accelerating down. So it's kind of a tracking dive into that kind of vertical orientation to making sure that you don't actually overfloat the base or kind of overtake the base there. And then diving is where you leave kind of after the base. So effectively the base has left the aircraft and you're required to dive down towards the formation. Again, not really a track and dive. I would say it's more like kind of speed skydiving. So you want to be kind of as strong as possible, looking at the base and accelerating out the door. With both of these, with diving and floating, you're not necessarily aiming for the base. So we love the term kind of LSD within skydiving. So it's really important that you get on level with the base first. We don't want to be coming in at a different angle. The reason for this is it's very important. There's going to be lots of traffic around you, and we need to ensure that everybody's on that same level before you're coming in and entering into the formation on level, being in your slot, and then docking. So a couple of examples here. Another thing that we have in Bigway skydiving is or Bigway vertical skydiving is someone that is called a super float. So this individual is usually on the plane with the base and they're required to go early, and they are basically the indicator for kind of all of the other floaters from all of the other planes to leave. So what you'll see here, this is Steph Strange, she's a super float, and you'll see that she'll exit the aircraft now. And she is basically exiting the aircraft, and you'll see the kind of other floaters leaving the aircraft there. So there's big delay between kind of the super float, and actually you'll see kind of the base getting out, and then everybody starts kind of heading towards that base and floating up to that base there. And then I think this is Martin's view. So this is kind of, again, floating up towards the base. You can see there's obviously lots going on here, but the base is at the front plane and we're all kind of aiming to get to that base. So that's an image or a video of kind of a floating exit there. So it's not necessarily a tracking position, but kind of very relaxed, kind of floating up towards that formation there. And then finally, this is Jason Russell's view. I just want to give you a bit of an overview of, you know, we have to expect the unexpected within this. So Jason Russell, he was in kind of one of the closest aircrafts to the plane, not with the base. And his exit was either kind of floating, diving, or actually on level with the base. So whilst we try and make sure that everybody's doing the same thing you know, as far as possible, you have to kind of expect the unexpected. And he, you know, had different exits kind of each time. So this was him diving to that base and then finally getting out very nicely on level with the base there. Great. So approaching the formation, as I said with belly, you kind of approaching the formation from above. Whereas actually, when you see kind of in head down Bigway, all the individuals are kind of approaching from below and coming into this kind of formation from that below point so that we can reference across the base so that every individual can kind of see their cross partner there, making sure that we're keeping the speed going with that kind of that vertical formation. So obviously that's what it will look like when we're upside down. So that's kind of the visual you want to be looking at when you're doing kind of Bigway skydiving, head down. Okay, so as you can see, it's a bit carnagey there, but lots going on and most individuals approaching from below. Conscious of time, so I'm going to be very quick on break-offs and then kind of an overview on Project 19. So break-offs, one of the most kind of key things I would say, especially when you get to those individuals are, well, once you get kind of up to 200 way. So it's very key that everybody is very good in their break-offs. And actually now it's getting to the point where, you know, a lot of these big way events, they require you to have kind of a angle camp that is very high level, and you have to be quite experienced of tracking, because what will happen is, you know, we have different waves of break off, and actually quite a few of these the outer wave has been led by a tracking group, so it's very important that you know how to kind of track effectively so that you can kind of get away from that formation. So what we do kind of in Bigway is try and get kind of horizontal and vertical separation. So it's usually, you know, dictated in kind of here is in different waves. So the first wave, we go to 7.5 to 4. The second wave, 6.5 to 5.5. Third wave, 5.5 to 3.5. And then the final wave is 4.5 to 3. So as you can see, what actually will happen is the first wave will get a lot of kind of horizontal distance there, and they will pull slightly lower than kind of that second wave. And then we'll have that kind of third wave who are kind of getting a bit more horizontal distance from that second wave. And finally, kind of that base wave or the final wave. And just in comparison to kind of belly Bigway, obviously, you know, you're kind of pushing a bit more for that horizontal separation. And the reason we do it like this is, if you can imagine, we're going a lot faster. So we're losing altitude a lot quicker. So we need to ensure that we get that horizontal and vertical separation. So a couple of videos then about break-offs. So this is wave 1. So as you can see, you've got an individual there who's leading that kind of tracking break-off. And it's super important that everybody stays within that kind of tracking break-off together. Just so that we can go into that one line and then spread so that we can get as much distance from the other pods as far as possible. And then you'll see wave 1 go and wave 2 go. So you can already see that actually the second wave that are going are already turning around, and there's your kind of tracking group there. That's kind of the wave that just went before. And it's a lot quicker, and you'll see they're not tracking as far. And it's effectively more of a clear and pull wave there. And then finally getting to closer to kind of the base, the final wave. So you see kind of the tracking groups go, wave 2 go, wave 3 go, and then finally kind of wave 4 go. So as you can see, it's, you know, it's relatively quick, but you have to be super disciplined when we're doing these break-offs. Great. Perfect. So 200 way, unfortunately, you know, it wasn't successful. They're going for it again next year. But just give you an overview of a successful event, which was Project 19, which is the women's vertical world record. So this happened in Skydive, Arizona in 2022. So it was just after the vertical world record. And they did this because, you know, when they're running training camps, it was a good opportunity for both people, you know, those individuals going for the world record and those going for Project 19 to go to the same camps and actually get the opportunities to train. So during Project 19, we had participants from 22 countries, 10 years in the sport, and 150,000 jumps. What they did started at 100 way. We ideally wanted an 100 way because this was celebrating the 100th year of the passing of the 19th Amendment in the USA. It was actually 102 years. But unfortunately, we didn't get that 100 way and the weather wasn't on our side. So actually what they did is they cut it down and we did 2 records. So a 72 way on the first jump and then finally an 80 way. So it's very difficult to be kind of an organizer on these events because you'll constantly have to look at the weather, whether those individuals can actually, well, look at the weather, but also make a decision quite early on as to whether, whether we can break this record or not, or whether we need to kind of reduce the size of the formation. And Project 19, they really wanted this 100 way, but they knew they needed to break the previous record. So therefore, that's why we went for kind of the 72 way and then the 80 way. On the Saturday, we kind of unofficially broke the record, the 97 way, but unfortunately not everybody was docked at the same time. So unfortunately we didn't get that. But overall, I'd say Project 19, it was a great event and we managed to successfully break the previous record on this kind of Bigway event. So how can you get involved then? If you want to get into Bigway skydiving, I would highly recommend you just go for coaching, sky and tunnel. Consistency is key with this. So, making sure that you're doing tunnel regularly, getting in the sky regularly. Again, when we look back at that diagram earlier on, I would highly recommend that individuals get involved in doing kind of a mini teams at UK Nationals. It's a great opportunity to kind of work with other individuals, and it really enhances your skills because if you're jumping with the same person, you basically learn how each other fly in the sky and you can actually work and achieve more. You then can get involved in 2-way VFS. 4-way VFS is a great thing for Bigway. The reason for this is because you have, you're working in very close proximity. And as you saw in kind of the videos earlier, that actually there's a lot of people there. So actually 4-way VFS is a great opportunity to get that kind of verbal practice that you need for kind of Bigway. Vertical jumps is a good opportunity to kind of practice your floating or diving, and then kind of tracking as well, because it's now becoming mandatory for Bigway. Also a bit of kind of mental preparation for Bigway. You will get binned at some point, you will cry, and sometimes be in unwanted situations whereby, example, a canopy opens up right next to you, there's a lot going on, so you kind of have to have a lot of mental preparation of this. And like a lot of skydiving, you'll find there's a lot of egos in the world of Bigway as well. So also how you can get involved this year. So there's some great events in the UK this year. So Ali Milne's running the UK head up record. We also have kind of a head down multiplane and single plane event at Skydive Langar at the end of May, with the head up world record this year in November. And then finally the head down 200 way third attempt world record in 2025. So that's kind of it for me. I think I ran slightly over time. I have a cheesy American video if you'd like to watch that. But let's go for any questions first before I watch this video.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, Elise. Oh, who's that in the background?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
Martin.
hey,
He's
Martin.
decided to come in with a feather duster and clean.
What a legend. What a good egg. Right, we do have some questions. So everyone, please
Yes,
feel
of
free to
course.
post them in the chat. I have one for you to start with, though, if that's okay.
Of course.
So you mentioned that we've kind of got a little bit stuck at around 164 for the record, and it's been that way since 2015. What do you think it is that's causing us to be stuck there? Is it a lack of the people to do it, a lack of talent, a lack of desire? What's going on?
I think that's a very hard question, and you can ask that to Brooke because he would know the answer. I think during the 200 way, there was just a lot that wasn't working. And I don't know if it was because of the bridges, because there's certain things in the formation. Just let me go back a few slides to the actual schematic here. Is that the schematic? Yeah, so what you can see here is that actually there's quite a few slots. So like these bridges between two pods, these become very, very crowded, especially if these pods are not in a specific size. So what happens is kind of you have these bridges, and if they're not building quick enough, then the people behind aren't, able to get on as quickly as they would like. I think that's it really. I'm going to call him Martin. Martin, what do you think? Because he was also there, if he's still there.
Yeah, I'm
Martin,
here.
why do you think the 200 way isn't working?
There was a bit of a lack of people that like could do the skill, I think, and there was a lot of people that could get near the formation but not necessarily pick up the grip, which is why I'd say some of the like more close in like VFS style skills that you mentioned that people can hone in the tunnel are super important. Whereas, yeah, like I say, a lot of people that could get to the formation but they couldn't handle a slight push and just started popcorning out of the formation. And there's just too many of them and not enough rock stars.
Yeah, we needed the rock stars to turn up.
That's cool. So it sounds like the desire is there. And if people are
Yeah.
thinking that they're inspired by this talk, get in the tunnel, get in the sky, do some BFS, do some small stuff, and then you'll have the skills to be able to do it. We've got a question from Amy. She says, "Hi Elise, I'm a newish skydiver with 60 jumps. Towards the summer, I want to work towards either FF1 or TR1 to work alongside my belly progression, but I'm not sure which one to start with. Which one would you recommend getting first and why? And would you also say it's a good idea to do 100 jumps before she even tries either of those?"
What would I recommend first? I think TR1 personally, because then it means that you can go and join tracking dives. And there seems to be everybody seems to love doing a tracking dive over kind of a vertical head up jump now. So I also think those can kind of go hand in hand. You've got the kind of the belly skills there. So it's just that kind of additional body awareness kind of on the belly rather than playing around kind of with the verticality of the speeds. So I would say TR1 and then maybe look at kind of going to the tunnel for your free fly. So maybe start, you get your TR1 over the summer and then go and do a tunnel camp to kind of get your free fly skills. So your FF1 and your FF2. That's what I would recommend because the tunnel is a fantastic, we have something, it enhances your skills a lot more quickly than learning it in the sky. So what you'll find is a lot of people, if they go and do kind of a free fly one jump in the sky but haven't done any tunnel, there's a lot of kind of backsliding, a lot of movement across the sky. Whereas if you get that solid foundation in the tunnel first, you're more likely to get your sticker a lot faster in the sky. So that's what I would recommend. And 60 jumps, I'm always going to be an advocate of kind of belly skills, just because I was a belly skydiver back in the day. And I think it gives you a really good foundation for all skydiving, and it's a great discipline to be involved with. So, free flying can be quite a frustrating journey, but if you've got really good kind of belly skills, it also means that you'll have the opportunity to join like the load organized groups at Langar, and you'll still be able to develop those skills rather than saying, oh, I've given up on kind of belly now, I haven't got those skills, but you don't, and you just focus on free flying. You're gonna, get to a point where you might be slightly frustrated because you might want to be like, oh, I want to go and join, I don't know, Laura's load organizing, but you haven't got those skills yet to do it. So I always think, getting those belly skills are very important.
People might not remember you being in four-way teams, but I see you, Elise. I know that you're one of us.
I am.
She is. She's an amazing four-way flyer. Phoenix was a great team. We've got another question in the chat, and that refers to the fact that you obviously organised the women's British record head down last year. And this
Yeah.
person is asking, is there a plan for a women's head up record in the UK?
There is. I just need to understand the appetite for it. So I know Ali Mills doing a lot of training camps over the coming months. So if enough women turn up to them, train for it, then let's go for it. Let's do it.
That's awesome. What would be the new women's head up record?
There isn't one.
Oh, wow.
There isn't one. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's not one. Yeah, so it could be a two-way for I think there has to be a minimum of a four-way.
Yeah, we try and do something a bit bigger.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you and Hannah were able to achieve last year with the women's head down record. And I know you mentioned that, people should really be getting lots of experience before they jump on that kind of thing. But equally, it feels like women's records, because they are a bit smaller at the moment, there are opportunities there for females to get into them. And we had Ellie, we had Mel, who had both only just recently got their FF2. Have you got any thoughts on why the female records are smaller, and how do you see that progressing? Do you think we're going to get more women getting into it?
I would love more women to get into kind of free flying, big wave flying. Why are they smaller? I think it's just kind of a numbers game, but I don't have the stats at the top of my head. But during the 200 way vertical world record, I think there were 40 women there. So actually, if you look at kind of the stats with the percentage of how many women in the sport in comparison to men, I think you also need to look at how many women are competing kind of at the top or in the big way kind of scene as well. There are still a lot of women there, so we just need to encourage kind of more women to get involved with this and kind of push themselves a little bit, because we talk about kind of Ellie and Mel, there was a lot of kind of come on, you can do it sort of thing there. So I think it's just all individuals just need to have the confidence to be like, no, I can do this, I can go for it, and get on with it. And actually the record in 2016, Hannah and I both quit a camp, and it's a very emotional journey and it's very up and down, and I hated Big Way the first time I did it. It's very stressful. But I think you just sometimes have to just kind of step out of your comfort zone and go for it.
I love that. And that ties in with my next question. And it may be my final question because we're a little bit short on time now. But I think you've given a really great overview of Bigway and of Project 19, and that's all been amazing. But also knowing you outside of this, I mentioned in one of my Facebook posts that you have been like one of my heroes in skydiving because of everything that you've done. And it is honestly just amazing. When you mentioned that you've only done 2,000 jumps as well, I was like, what the hell have I been doing with my time? But you're obviously hugely accomplished in four-way FS. You've done a lot with the two-way dynamic, which you mentioned you've won a few times. You've been doing four-way VFS. You've been doing the big ways. You've been setting records, organizing records, AFF instructor, all that kind of stuff. If you could go back to your earlier self and give her any advice, or is there anything that you would change? What would you say to your earlier self, or is there anything that you would have changed in your skydiving career?
What would I have changed? I don't think so. The only thing is I discovered camps a lot later. So I think maybe there were less around. But a lot of my skydiving up till 500-600 jumps were boogie jumps, which, they're great fun. But if you really want to see kind of the progression in your skydiving, then camps are a great thing to do, because it's a structured environment. You jump with the same people for the week, and you really get to learn how others fly as well with kind of some amazing coaches. So I know Andrew's been great this year. He's putting on a load of great camps at Langar. And there's a lot going on, so I would highly recommend trying to do a couple of camps a year, because it will give you those real opportunities to enhance your skills as well.
Amazing. Loads of tunnel camps as well, aren't there? I know that Andrew through Aerogravity and Ali's been doing some, and Jimmy and Ryan, like everybody's going out and traveling all over. So there's loads of opportunities. That's been absolutely amazing, Elise. Thank you so much for taking the time to do it. We really appreciate it. This has been recorded, so everyone will be able to watch it back as well. And hopefully we'll see you at Langar lots over this season as well.
Yes, you will. Thanks,
awesome.
everyone.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Have a nice evening. Bye.